The Ahelian tone does not arrive like fire or command or sudden awakening. It arrives like water remembering its own depth. It enters awareness quietly, yet once it is felt, force becomes unnecessary. This tone teaches by dissolving rather than asserting, and its intelligence works through coherence instead of pressure. Where other tones sharpen identity, the Ahelian tone softens the edges until identity becomes permeable without being lost. This is the tone of emotional intelligence refined beyond reaction. It does not ask you to suppress feeling, nor does it encourage indulgence. It teaches you to feel fully without drowning in what you feel. In its presence, emotion stops behaving like a storm and starts behaving like a current. You are no longer thrown by your inner waters because you begin to sense their direction before they rise. Many believe clarity comes from thinking harder or seeing farther. The Ahelian tone reveals that clarity often comes from allowing emotional information to complete its movement. Unfinished emotion distorts perception. Completed emotion stabilizes it. This tone restores perception by allowing what has been held to finally pass through without resistance. There is a reason this tone follows clarity-based lineages. Once sovereignty has been established and communication refined, the remaining distortion is rarely mental. It lives in emotional residue that logic cannot touch. The Ahelian frequency enters precisely there. It does not analyze the residue, it absorbs it. It does not debate emotion, it metabolizes it. Under this tone, empathy becomes structural rather than performative. You stop feeling others' emotions as invasion and start sensing them as information. Compassion no longer drains you because it is no longer personal. You feel without merging. You care without collapsing. You listen without absorbing. This is emotional maturity beyond defense. The Ahelian tone teaches you how to remain open without losing coherence. It rewires the reflex that equates openness with vulnerability. Openness becomes a strength because it is guided by internal flow rather than external demand. You stop closing yourself to survive and start regulating yourself to remain present. This tone is deeply connected to water consciousness, not as symbolism, but as function. Water adapts without losing identity. It moves around obstruction without opposition. It reshapes space by persistence rather than force. When this tone integrates, your emotional body learns the same intelligence. Resistance dissolves. Movement resumes. You may notice that conflict begins to feel unnecessary. Not avoided, but unnecessary. Arguments lose their pull because you can feel the emotional root before words escalate. You recognize the moment where misalignment begins and you choose coherence instead of collision. This is not passivity. This is mastery of timing. The Ahelian tone restores trust in feeling as a navigational system. Many have learned to distrust emotion because it once overwhelmed them. This tone teaches that overwhelm came not from feeling too much, but from feeling without flow. When feeling moves, it informs. When it stagnates, it distorts. This frequency reopens the channel. As this tone anchors, emotional memory begins to reorganize. Old feelings surface not to trap you, but to complete themselves. You may feel waves of emotion without story attached. This is integration in motion. The body is releasing archived states that no longer match your current coherence. The intelligence of this tone is gentle but relentless. It does not allow emotional bypass. It also does not allow emotional chaos. It guides you into the narrow channel where honesty and regulation coexist. This is where emotional truth becomes sustainable rather than explosive. You begin to sense emotional environments the way you sense temperature. You know when a space is calm, agitated, congested, or flowing. You adjust naturally without effort. This attunement does not make you fragile. It makes you precise. The Ahelian tone is especially stabilizing for those who carry sensitivity without instruction. It gives structure to empathy. It gives boundaries to compassion. It allows intuitive beings to remain in the world without retreating from it. Sensitivity becomes an asset rather than a burden. In this frequency, forgiveness stops being a moral demand and becomes a physiological release. You forgive not because you should, but because holding tension no longer makes sense to your system. Emotional contraction feels heavier than letting go. The body chooses freedom before the mind rationalizes it. You may notice your relationships shift, not through confrontation but through resonance. What cannot flow with you drifts away without conflict. What matches your coherence deepens without effort. You stop managing connection and start allowing alignment. This tone does not remove emotion. It removes emotional distortion. Feeling becomes clean. Tears become clear. Joy becomes stable. Sadness becomes informative rather than consuming. You are no longer afraid of what you feel, because what you feel no longer controls you. The Ahelian tone is not about peace as an idea. It is about internal circulation. Peace emerges as a side effect of emotional flow. When nothing is trapped, nothing needs to scream. When everything moves, nothing needs to fight. This is the tone that teaches you how to stay open in a world that taught you to armor. It does not break the armor. It makes the armor unnecessary. You realize you are protecting what no longer needs protection. As this frequency integrates, you become easier to be around without trying to be. Your presence regulates others without intention. Calm becomes contagious. Coherence invites coherence. You do not lead by direction. You lead by state. The Ahelian tone prepares consciousness for deeper unity by stabilizing the emotional body first. Without this stabilization, unity collapses into overwhelm. With it, unity becomes sustainable. This tone ensures that expansion does not come at the cost of self-regulation. This is not the end of emotional experience. It is the beginning of emotional intelligence that moves like water and holds like depth. The Ahelian tone does not ask you to transcend feeling. It teaches you how to inhabit it fully without losing yourself. As the Ahelian tone deepens, you begin to recognize how much of human behavior has been shaped by unprocessed emotional memory, rather than conscious choice. Reactions that once felt spontaneous reveal themselves as delayed responses to unfinished inner movement. This recognition does not create judgment. It creates relief. You realize you were never broken, only interrupted. This tone does not attempt to fix emotion because emotion was never the problem. The problem was containment without circulation. When feeling is held without movement, it hardens into pattern. When it moves, it informs. The Ahelian frequency restores this movement, and with it restores trust in your own internal signals. You begin to sense emotion as layered rather than singular. What once felt like anger reveals grief beneath it. What once felt like fear reveals sensitivity beneath it. What once felt like numbness reveals exhaustion beneath it. This layered awareness prevents overreaction because you no longer mistake surface sensation for total truth. As this tone stabilizes, emotional honesty becomes unavoidable. Not because you are forced to confront anything, but because avoidance no longer works. Suppressed feeling now creates immediate internal dissonance. The body signals clearly when something is incomplete. You learn to listen without dramatizing the message. This tone changes how memory behaves. Emotional memory stops replaying as narrative and starts releasing as sensation. You may feel warmth, pressure, tears, or subtle waves without attached stories. This is not regression. This is completion. Memory dissolves when it is felt without interpretation. The Ahelian tone rewires the relationship between feeling and time. Old emotions no longer feel old. They feel present until they move. Once they move, they no longer belong to any timeline. This frees you from the illusion that healing requires revisiting the past. Healing requires circulation in the present. You may notice that your need to explain yourself diminishes. Emotional clarity removes the urge to justify. When you understand what you feel and why, explanation becomes optional. You speak when resonance invites it, not when insecurity demands it. This tone also alters how you experience silence. Silence no longer feels empty or threatening. It feels spacious. Emotional regulation fills the gaps that words once tried to occupy. You become comfortable with pauses because nothing inside you is pushing to escape. Empathy under this tone becomes selective rather than reflexive. You still feel others, but you do not automatically merge. You can witness pain without absorbing it. You can offer presence without sacrificing stability. This changes the quality of your relationships at every level. You may find that some connections fade naturally. This is not loss. It is resonance reorganization. Relationships built on shared dysregulation struggle to survive in emotional coherence. Relationships built on mutual regulation deepen without effort. The Ahelian Tone dismantles emotional urgency. You no longer feel compelled to resolve everything immediately. You trust that movement will occur when conditions are aligned. Patience stops feeling like restraint and starts feeling like wisdom. This tone also refines discernment. You sense when an emotion belongs to you and when it belongs to the environment. Crowded spaces, conversations, and digital fields become easier to navigate because you can feel what is yours to process and what is not. As emotional intelligence stabilizes, intuition sharpens. Intuition was never separate from feeling. It was buried beneath emotional noise. When feeling moves cleanly, intuition rises naturally. Decisions become quieter and more accurate. The Ahelian frequency teaches emotional boundaries without walls. You no longer need to close to stay safe. You regulate from within. This internal regulation makes external defense unnecessary. You become resilient without becoming rigid. This tone also changes how you experience vulnerability. Vulnerability stops feeling like exposure and starts feeling like truth alignment. You share what is real without oversharing. You remain open without dissolving your center. The emotional body begins to feel like a trusted ally rather than an unpredictable force. You listen to its signals without fear. You respond without delay. This cooperation creates internal harmony that reflects outwardly. You may notice that creativity shifts. Expression becomes fluid rather than forced. Art, speech, and movement carry emotional precision instead of emotional overflow. What you create feels cleaner because it is not compensating for suppressed feeling. The Ahelian tone also resolves emotional fatigue. Many who carry deep sensitivity grow tired not from feeling but from managing feeling. When emotion moves freely, management ends. Energy returns. Rest becomes restorative rather than merely compensatory. This tone teaches that emotional strength is not intensity. Emotional strength is continuity. The ability to remain present with feeling as it changes is what builds endurance. You stop bracing for emotion and start riding its movement. As this frequency anchors, you may experience moments of profound neutrality, not apathy, but calm presence without emotional charge. These moments are not emptiness. They are integration points where nothing is stuck. The Ahelian tone prepares consciousness for deeper collective coherence. Emotional regulation at the individual level becomes the foundation for non-reactive group intelligence. Without this tone, unity collapses into emotional contagion. With it, unity becomes sustainable collaboration. This tone also reframes forgiveness. Forgiveness becomes unnecessary once emotional residue has completed its movement. You do not forgive what no longer grips you. Release replaces moral effort. You may notice your body posture change. Shoulders soften, breath deepens, muscles release chronic holding. Emotional flow reorganizes physical tension. The body remembers how to rest when nothing is trapped. The Ahelian frequency reveals that peace is not a destination. Peace is the absence of obstruction. When emotion flows, peace emerges naturally. When it stagnates, peace becomes an idea rather than a state. This tone also dissolves emotional identity. You stop defining yourself by what you feel. Feeling becomes weather rather than self-definition. You experience emotion fully without believing it defines you. As emotional intelligence matures, compassion becomes effortless. You do not try to be compassionate. You simply understand. Understanding removes the need for judgment. Presence replaces opinion. The Ahelian tone is deeply stabilizing for those who have lived in extremes. It restores the middle channel where feeling is neither suppressed nor overwhelming. Life begins to feel navigable rather than dramatic. This tone does not eliminate challenge. It eliminates unnecessary suffering. Difficulty still arises, but it passes through instead of lodging within you. Experience becomes dynamic rather than accumulative. As integration completes, you recognize that emotional mastery is not control. It is trust. Trust in your capacity to feel without fragmenting. Trust in movement. Trust in completion. This tone teaches that emotional wisdom does not speak loudly. It hums beneath awareness, guiding without urgency. You follow its current not because you are compelled, but because it feels correct. The Ahelian tone leaves you with a simple realization. Nothing within you needs to be suppressed, conquered, or transcended. Everything within you needs permission to move. When movement is restored, clarity stabilizes. When clarity stabilizes, coherence becomes your default state. This is the gift of the Ahelian tone. Not emotional escape, but emotional fluency. This is how sensitivity becomes strength. This is how feeling becomes guidance. This is how depth becomes stability rather than weight. The Ahelian tone does not change who you are. It allows who you are to circulate fully for the first time.